What's going on, guys? Hope you're all having a good Wednesday. Bobby Fi here. We're going to be talking through tonight's MLB slate. I'm going through a bunch of golf, a bunch of football, and of course the baseball tonight. Lousy little seven gamer. Sheets looks like he's trying to jump in at the moment, and there he is. So we'll get him. He'll get him going. It's a seven gamer that I think I'm going to treat like a six gamer and just basically cross off New York and Boston.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do? I mean,
yeah, I think that the right thing to do is probably, if you're playing enough lineups, is to definitely get some exposure to that game. But as of right now, I am not playing a ton of lineups, and I don't think I'm going to be getting any. How about you? Are you going to play any of it, or what are you doing?
well, first of all, let me just touch on FanDuel first, just because it's an earlier start and you're getting Strider and all this stuff. So what I'm going to be doing on FanDuel, I'm playing one lineup there. I'm just playing one lineup in the 333, trying to win that 10K or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping, well, whatever, that people will play Strider because they're gonna have all their Hunter Brown exposure on DraftKings. So I'm gonna play Hunter Brown on FanDuel. Hopefully I get a little bit of a break. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Xing out Yankees Red Sox over there. I'm doing like a non-sheets thing. I'm not doing like a 4-4. I'm doing like a 4-2-2 or something like that. I have a couple of teams here, and I'm playing both sides of the Kansas City Chicago game and some Houston's. So that's not particularly earth-shattering if you're going to fade Yankees Red Sox, okay? But I'm going to fade the Yankees Red Sox. So that's just probably the one lineup I'm going to play over there.
Yeah. And one thing, the Dodger lineup just came out. It's pretty weak. No Will Smith in there, but they do have, Chris Taylor's cheap and batting near the top. I think it's actually pretty relevant for me because I do think that the Dodgers are a very good stack today, even though I also will have some Blake Snell. But just for what it's worth, this is not the Dodger A lineup, and there is pinch hit risk. You have Chris Taylor. It's Betts, Freeman, Taylor. Let me just grab it. Sorry. Betts, Freeman, Taylor, JD Martinez, Kiki Hernandez, Rosario, Outman, Rojas, Barnes in that order.
So no Will Smith is the main.
Yeah, no Will Smith and no Max Muncy.
Okay.
So look, it's not as great of a lineup, but it does. Guys like Taylor and Barnes have pretty good history against Snell. But so I am going to be looking at some Dodgers. I'm going to. Sorry about that.
Some else.
The site thing. The only thing is, okay, sorry. Going back to it. So wait, what do you do? You mentioned Brown on FanDuel. What are you doing for pitching on DraftKings?
I don't know yet because I haven't figured out what I'm doing with the Red Sox game yet. I still want to play. I'm just kind of in the mood to play Alec Marsh, so we'll
I currently have Alec Marsh in my 250.
Yeah, so there you go. We'll just see what happens. That's kind of the idea. Brown, I do like Hunter Brown, obviously. I think if I play just Hunter Brown and Marsh, that might be and be a little different with the hitting, and maybe something like that Dodger game, like you said. Maybe that's enough to get me different. The Arizona game, I guess Arizona might not be such a bad idea either. I really have been waiting to see the Dodger lineup and then getting some kind of clarity if I can get any on the Red Sox game. I don't think I'm going to get any though.
No, I don't think so either. Unfortunately, but all right, let me log in.
But it is an interesting question of like how much of it to play if you're not sure, depending on how many lineups you have.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God. Okay, what's happening here?
You definitely have to.
Whatever's happening, is pretty important because I couldn't get access to SaberSim even myself. Now there we go.
Oh, okay. I was going to say my advice to you is to ignore site stuff from 6 to 7.
Not if there's site stuff where the site is down.
Well, I mean,
if the site is down, I have to address it.
Well, what are you going to do? I mean, like,
I'm going to make sure that all the people who know what to do are aware of it. and alerted to it before everybody else does. So I kind of have to. I kind of have no choice at this point. I'm wearing too many hats and going to need to figure something out because I'm trying to figure out how to do this without like doing the 12 to 14 hour day things without, and still not getting to all the things that I need to get to because I don't have the skill set for it. Anyway, my main pitchers, for what it's worth, are going to be Gallen, Clevenger, Brown, and Marsh. And I will play some Blake Snell also, and a little bit of Snell, a little bit of Kikuchi. That's what I'm doing basically. I'm open to the idea of using a little bit of Garrett, and I don't see that as a very popular option. And at the same time, I don't think people are playing Milwaukee much. So I kind of that's the game I don't have much exposure to that I may get some. You have a nice low total. It's a reasonable spot. And we just saw, the Brewers beat up on other lefties. I think that we could take a shot with the Brewers if we want to. All right, guys, stop it. In terms of stacks, I like Houston, Arizona, and then both sides of the Chicago KC game a little bit, and the Dodgers. But I have Houston, Arizona, and the Dodgers as my priorities. And I think I'll have like 1 or 2 5-man stacks tonight, but for the most part, it'll be 3-3-2s, 4-3-1s, 4-4s, 4-2-2s, 4-2-1-1s, all that stuff.
So right now, I'm looking at Hunter Brown, Gallen, Marsh, and Snell, and Clevenger. Okay.
Yeah. Michael says, who is K9 Sheets like today? I'm guessing he means K9 Bronco, or is he referring to dogs? I don't really understand that question or joke, whatever it is. So in terms of like, is there any individual? You mentioned you're doing 4-2-2, that kind of thing. What kind of 2-mans are you looking for today? I'm just curious.
Well, I was just on FanDuel.
Oh,
yeah, DraftKings. I'm not that good.
You like
multiple eyes. I'm going to end up with a lot of 5-mans and some 4-4s, and just hope I get lucky.
Yeah, and I think for what it's worth, like there's always less people playing 5. There is a huge wave in the higher end buy-ins from. I used the Brandon Adams as an example a few weeks back, but I'm just seeing loads of the guys I respect the most for baseball specifically, just not doing the 5-man stacks.
Meanwhile, like another shout out to the legend of Nerdy Tenor with like
what
won the 100,000 last night in baseball to add to his tennis and.
Yeah, I mean,
and all the stuff. The guy's awesome.
I don't know if he lost all that money the previous week because that's all it takes is a week of not winning first place and you're max entering. You're gonna
but he answered an interesting question that I told you I was going to. Was it the 13th?
Yeah.
That I was going to ask. So he built a. I said there was an MMA lineup that he did that chopped that he ended up it was kind of like really, really offbeat. So I was wondering if he did that on purpose or was it just like his code that's kind of got him to there? You know what I mean? Like, did he make a conscious decision to do a certain thing or do whatever? And because I was curious about that in general, like are people like making decisions or are they letting their code run the thing? And he did actually answer me. He did say, I don't, even think about the stuff. It just, my code tells me to do it. I just do it. You know what I mean? So yeah. I just find it interesting because we brought that up. I brought that up last week when we were talking about those types of stacks in baseball. And I was asking rhetorically, do you think like Brandon and these guys, do they like intentionally say, give me no 5-mans, or do their process just lead them to those types of things?
Yeah, I think and I don't know that anyone's ever going to be able to answer that question for someone else, but I think it's really, really different for everybody. You know what I mean? In the higher stakes ones anyway, especially like for the millionaire thing. But I just wanted to throw it out there because I think it's interesting always to talk about different ways of doing things that are going to get you different that people aren't sort of maybe a little bit behind to catch up on. And as I've said before, I mean, of the times I've won 100,000 plus, I think it's been 13 times on DraftKings for baseball. Pretty much, I would say that probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 of them didn't have a 5-man stack, but the game changes constantly. And I just think it's always interesting to think about different types of builds. And these are the perfect kind of slates to maybe test out some of that stuff. Because I genuinely don't see anybody outside of Houston that stands out as like an obvious stack tonight, and no other team, really does for me.
We don't have a Padre lineup, correct?
No Padre lineup yet. Good chance it's after lock, just because that's what happened yesterday. But you never know. The Dodgers got theirs in early today. I will say that I am playing the Dodgers. I just want to point out that there's definitely some pinch hit risk for obviously Austin Barnes, Ahmed Rosario, Kike Hernandez, Chris Taylor. All of those guys have actually, and even Miguel Rojas to a certain extent. Depending on when the pitching change is made at any point, you're going to see a righty come in and they're going to have their lefties. It's just going to happen. So the only guys I feel guaranteed to get their full at bats tonight would be Betts, Freeman, JD, and Outman. They like Outman against lefties. They do a funny thing. They always bat him 8th against righties and 7th against lefties. It's kind of funny. Yeah, so Outman, and that's a good way to get different. Not that there's going to be that many Dodgers stacks, but people aren't going to be playing Outman in those stacks.
What are you doing with the White Sox?
Yeah, so I have both KC and Chicago rated similarly enough, which makes me a little bit more on the KC side because they're going to be a little bit lower owned and they're a little bit cheaper. But I do have some White Sox. I'm more, Tim Anderson's price. I understand that it's not the same Tim Anderson that we knew and loved from the past. Power's gone away. He doesn't run as much, but he has 3,300. It's something you could do at shortstop. There is a really good. Jordan Lawler, who's a big prospect for Arizona, he's batting second and he's 2,300 at shortstop. So that's the real value. The rest of the White Sox, I like them, and if I was going to try to play them, again, it's a bullpen game. Marsh has been a little bit better. We've seen some upside with him a little bit, but I would say the bats you want to target there would be, for me, Moncada fits into a nice price range on DraftKings, Andrew Vaughn, and then Jimenez and Luis Robert. I don't mind Benintendi or Anderson, but I'd rather have them in like 3 or 4 man. The other guys I'm all fine with, even as one-offs, and even Yasmani Grandal down there at 2,800, I think is totally reasonable. It's not great hitting weather in Chicago for what it's worth. Just throw that back out there again. But guys, drop in any other questions in the Discord, and we'll go over anything. The value plays today are pretty straightforward. It's Monasterio. I just mentioned Jordan Lawler. All of the A's. I think the A's are a really interesting play, and specifically Noda, Seth Brown, to some extent Tony Kemp, but I'd rather have them in part of the stack, and Langoliers because of their prices. So where I'm not playing Hunter Brown, I would really like to get some exposure to that Oakland A's cheapies because they're going to be the low owned and you get the leverage against Brown and all that stuff. And this is the kind of slate I like to do that a lot more than the big, 12, 13 gamers.
I'll tell you that these Arizona guys are cheap. The Dodgers, look at this. So some of these guys are, dude, you can play. Taylor's 3,300. Kike Hernandez is 3,100. So those are the two value pieces, right?
Yeah. Seth Brown over Chris Taylor. It depends on the rest of your lineup, Mark, but I have no problem if you want to take like I said, I like Seth Brown, and Chris Taylor's going to have some ownership with some pinch hit risk. So I like the idea of getting a little bit of Seth Brown. I also have Chris Taylor, so I like both of those guys. It really depends on what you're building, what your build looks like. I would try to correlate it, whichever one of those I play, but I don't have a strong take that Chris Taylor is better than Seth Brown. I also don't think the ownership is going to. He'll be a little bit more owned, but I don't expect him to be like extremely owned. I don't think the Dodgers are going to get much love tonight, and we've said this story a lot of times lately. And if the Dodgers are just unowned when they're low owned, especially on these small slates, I just think the right thing is to play them. You know what I mean? Even yesterday, like obviously that was the Dodgers were the answer to every question yesterday, and I wish that I would have just committed even harder on them. This is just an elite level offense, especially while they play still. Mookie's still playing to get the MVP, and they're going to clinch pretty shortly, so we're not going to get full Dodger lineups, even though today we don't have the best of their lineup. I'm definitely going to take some shots with them. But yeah, I have Taylor rated ahead of Brown, but I think that I'll end up with just as much of both, to be honest with you today. The only reason I don't is because I'm playing Hunter Brown some. So it really just, yeah, it depends on the rest of your lineup. And I would certainly not try to use a hitter against your pitcher. I'd probably want to wait for like 4 or 5 gamers, but I think it's okay if you run into it in one spot for a cheap bat, especially if there's some speed. Like if you were going to pitch Lucchese and you wanted to play Lawler at short, that's totally fine. That's the way I would put it. You know what I mean? You take a 2,300 bat against your 6,200 pitcher, and the guy's got speed. Boom! You could both get there very easily. For a while yesterday, I was looking. By the way, our guy Cutter Crawford. I mean, he almost had a really good game yesterday, and just couldn't.
He sure did, huh?
Yeah. And then once he was out, it felt like every inning the Yankees had the bases loaded with like nobody out or one out, and they didn't score any runs.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it was one of those times where you could have gone Cutter with the Yankee stack.
Who's Houston playing at catcher today? Oh, Diaz.
Diaz, yeah. It's Houston. I think they were kind of like, F it. Why are we doing this? We need to get our better lineup out there today. So they did. They brought Brantley in there. They put Diaz in there. They don't have they don't have the other guys. They need to win some games. And I think the A's beating you twice in a row at home, where you can barely do anything offensively, is kind of got to send up some alarm bells for them.
Yeah.
And now they're only 1 game up for the division, and they're 1 game up on the Rangers and 1.5 up on the Mariners in a really good division race. So these teams are going to be playing to do everything they can to win for the rest of the season, probably, or at least until somebody goes on a 5-game losing streak. Sheets, you know what I had last night, and I didn't realize till after, which was kind of a bummer, because I don't know if you saw that Max Scherzer got hurt, and he had a good game going. He only had 2 strikeouts at the time, but he had only thrown 60 something pitches or something in the 6th inning, and he got hurt, and they had to he's out for the rest of the season, for the rest of the regular season. But it was kind of a bummer because I had the Dodgers stacked with Seattle on FanDuel in one of the 150s, which was just like everybody like 4 and 3 and 5%, and they both just went completely nuts. And I was like, oh man, I finished 40th with that lineup. But if Scherzer just gets a few more innings and a few more strikeouts, I think I would have come in like 3rd or 4th or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was a fun one.
Yeah, those are funny.
Yeah. No, I mean, it would be nice. And at the same time, I like Peralta even better. He just didn't happen to be in that lineup. If I had used Peralta, then I end up in 4th. So, so it would have been a nice little 10K night.
You mentioned Garrett a little bit.
Yeah, I think Garrett's interesting. And I also think that Milwaukee's interesting, and I just don't see them getting much love. It's a very low total. And I'm kind of confused about it, to be honest. I would have guessed that the teams would be in the 4s, not in the 3s. I thought it would be like 4.5 each or something, or 9 total or something. I do like the over in that game for what it's worth. I posted that one on my bets of the day. My bets have been on fire for baseball. I don't know what happened. I turned things around.
Yeah.
I hit all 4 yesterday, 3 out of 4 the day before, 4 out of 5 on Friday, and I think it was 3 out of 4 on Thursday last week. So it's like a nice little 17 out of 20 stretch or something like that. 16 out of 19, something like that. Mostly betting the over-unders, by the way.
Oh, really? That's been
for whatever reason in every sport, that seems to be my strongest thing. And I think it has to do with my research, slanting towards DFS and then making my decisions of what I think of the game, Yeah. I know maybe not in different ways sometimes, but it seems to be the way to go for me. All right, guys, drop in questions. It's not a huge slate, so it's not a whole lot to go through for me. But
yeah, I'm going to continue to wait on some news here. I'm telling you, if Roth even gives it a little like yellow orange, that's going to be good enough, I think, for me to go to this Yankee game.
Yeah, and the other thing you have is that like while the game looks bad, the weather does go away at some point. It's just a matter of when. It's like that.
Well, the other thing they have going for them is it is Yankees Red Sox. So they probably want to play it.
And it may be it's either the last meeting of the year or the second to last meeting of the year. So,
okay, that's something then.
So with either way, so I think that you'd think they would want to do that. I'm just gonna take a quick look at
or they make them wait in the stadium 2.5 hours and spend millions on alcohol and then cancel it.
That's right. I think it's so crazy that we can't get to that stage where at some point we got to fix this, right?
Everybody has a dome, you mean?
Like it's ridiculous when the games rain out. Like you go to the game and you're right, like you said, you're going to spend more money on the beers and everything than tickets. I see my
they
fans.
can afford to pay this guy $275 million, but why don't you build a retractable roof on every stadium?
Yeah, just like make it easy. Why not? I'm
not saying that everything has to be a dome. I like playing outside, but put a retractable dome in.
Yeah,
it's not my money. Yeah, let's go.
How about the worst was like in Minnesota when they first moved to their new stadium a few years ago. There was like 16 games in a row that were either delayed, like it was like 6-hour games, or the games didn't play. Like it would happen every night, and I'm just like, what are you doing in Minnesota building a non-roof stadium? Like a stadium that doesn't have an option for a roof. It's crazy.
And like a new one. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, a new stadium. That's the thing that's bizarre. I mean, Seattle was smart enough to do it. Why can't they do it?
Yeah. By the way, just in case anybody didn't catch this, we did our Survivor pool video, and that got posted today, and that's something to look for. MMA DFS is going to be out tomorrow. MMA breakdown, MMA betting probably the next day. Tomorrow we also later tonight I plan to do a live sweat. We're probably going to get to see the entire Red Sox game. And we'll do something with the showdown tomorrow, right? Oh, so you're not around during the day, but you might be there for live.
Yeah, I think I should be able to make it. I'm hoping to be back for live for baseball. I'm hoping to be back for live for, and I think I will be. I mean, not.
So I have the previews. I'll do it the early previews, and we'll just play the later.
Terrible baseball slate tomorrow too. I think it's only like 5 games.
In the evening, is there anything in the afternoon? Please say no.
There's a morning of some sort.
Okay, I got it. I treat it as a quest, challenge.
I don't know how they're going to do the morning slate because the games are sort of disjointed. There's actually not that many games. Actually, you know what? There's 5 night games, and then I would guess the morning slate would only probably be 3 games, maybe 4 if they want to include the Mets and Diamondbacks. But that's 4.5 hours after the first one kicks off. So I really don't know if it'll be much of a slate in the morning, to be honest with you. But all right, guys, firing in any other thoughts, and see if we have anything else we can talk about before we get out of here.
No, I guess we're good. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna do one more projection update in about 10 minutes for DraftKings. Maybe FanDuel too, but FanDuel might be a little late for at least some of the games. Just to incorporate the Dodgers stuff. I'm gonna have a little time, so I'll take care of that.
Yep.
And I'll see you guys. Hopefully, plan on 11, unless I pass out. So I think 11 o'clock should be good.
Okay, and I'll probably poke my head in right before I go to sleep because I've got a crazy early morning tomorrow.
All right, sounds good, guys.
All right, good luck, everybody. Good luck.